So when you started renting ground, were you crop renting it or cash renting it?
The first few years was share crop.
Yeah.
That was a 50-50 deal. Right or wrong, I don't know it. But now Chet still does some sharecropping with
Yep.
some.
That's a rarity anymore, though.
Yeah, and it's kind of a hassle, but because we're set up to dry our own corn,
Mm-hmm.
and when you got to haul it to the elevator, they
Yep.
get you pretty good to
Yep.
do that. But it's working, so
Yeah.
I'd rather have the cash rent thing. That's in the good years, we always usually give a little bonus depending on how good it is and stuff, but nothing in our contracts saying how much. It's just
Right.
kind of, and everybody's very happy with that.
And in a poor year, they say, "I'll keep some," right?
There
Oh,
has
sure.
been a couple of times because we did do the bonus for several years in a row. And then we just felt, well, the markets are going to stay here.
Yep.
It looks like. So we bumped up the cash rent, and then it got to be pretty ugly there a
Yep.
couple, 3 years. So we did renegotiate a little bit. And
Yep.
yeah, there's give and take. And I always tell my landlords, if I'll give it if I can get it.
Yep.
But you know how that, if you start bleeding the turnip, you're going to
Yeah,
not
that's
survive.
right.
What about the 80s farm crisis? What did that look like for your family? What was that a hard time for the farm? I mean, it was hard for a lot of people, but
Yeah, I would say that they had so little that it did not, they
Yep.
didn't have no debt, very little debt.
Yep.
They built a new house. I
Mhm.
think he said that it was 20%, 21% interest.
Yep.
For whatever reason, well, you know how that is. If you don't have a lot of debt,
Mhm.
that's just like a cancer.
Yep.
And I think everybody nowadays, we all have debt. So
Yeah.
it's,
And we talked about that a couple weeks ago. I feel like if you were raising livestock, like if you were raising hogs through the 80s and you didn't have debt, the hog market ran a little bit contrary to the grain markets because a lot of guys that had livestock weathered the 80s a lot better than people that were just
Right.
grain farming. That really helped. I know it helped us a lot. So
when you were young and you were talking about it, when guys would ask you like, "What's the future look like?" Well, the future's now, I guess, a little bit. But like when you were at that time, what'd you think the future would look like? Does it look like
yeah, is your
reality what you thought it'd be
Oh,
now?
it's way past.
Yeah.
Never ever would have.
Yeah, did you ever think you'd be farming on the scale that we are all
No.
farming today?
No, I looking back, and I really struggled with that a lot. Is when you set your level of what you hope for and you
Yep.
hit it, and it's almost like, okay, now what? Do we keep
Yeah.
going, or
Yep.
are you supposed to be happy with what you have? But then as we always met those goals, it seemed like there was a little bit less meat on the bone, so you
Mhm.
needed a little bit more to
Yep.
to stay going. But yeah, no, we are very blessed for where we're at now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make it sound like we got a gravy train, but we're responsible to take care of more than I ever thought we'd have to.
Yeah. Well, I
dream
think we're
about.
all, I think as a society, not just in ag, but everywhere, unless you have the perspective of having to plan for what rodent infestation is coming next, like unless you've got that as a reference point, I don't think most of us, and even if you've been through that, we get very conditioned to all the things that we take for granted that we never even dreamed that we would have as an opportunity, or the way we live, the lifestyles we live now. My parents and my grandparents would have never even, they would have felt guilty. Actually, my grandparents would have felt guilty spending the money on the basic things that we think are a necessity.
Well, I think I'd get my back end chewed for spending some of the stuff that we've spent on our residents or stuff like that. It everybody was happy to mow the weeds kind of on the lawn.
Yep.
And now we think we want to have a nice lawn
Yeah.
that has to be mowed 3-4 times
Yeah.
or every 3-4 days. And
Oh my gosh, it's been a if you don't like mowing your yard, this is a bad
This has
year.
been a
for
bad
you.
year.
It is a bad year.
Yeah.
And I just yesterday I finally mowed around all the hog buildings all in one day, which is the first time we've gotten that done. And the kid that usually mows for me, he's been gone, and so anyway, I mowed everything. And all I could think was, I think I could plant corn closer to these hog buildings. I don't know why we actually have this much grass anyway. I think next year we're gonna get it we're gonna try to hug it a little closer because man, it's ridiculous.
It can be it's a whole day. I mean,
It is.
sometimes if you really go for it,
Yeah.
for sure.
But talking about, the things that we take for granted today. So, and I've told this story before, but I'll make it short. So a guy that went to country school with my dad and then didn't go on to high school, only went to the 8th grade and then started farming. He had a very particular personality and probably not a lot of, I don't think he needed many friends, to be honest. He was just one of those guys that you knew exactly where he stood on everything, whether you wanted to know or not. But he had kind of a special place for my dad. He was one of the few people that, like, he would stop by and talk to him once in a while because they grew up together. But he did, he worked hard for everything that he got, and he was very successful, and he accumulated some land. But he had 3 sons, and the ground that they put in hay or oats, he didn't charge him rent on that. He didn't charge the boys rent on that. So they always baled a pile of hay, which I didn't like those guys because I was one of the kids that, I baled hay around in the summer, and I was like, good Lord, these guys got a lot of hay ground. But anyway, he came over to our house one day, and he was mad as a hornet because they had bought a boxcar Magnum. And that was the first cab tractor that they'd had and they bought it new. And he was livid. And he informed my dad the whole litany of, it takes 3 generations to make a fortune and only 1 to lose it. And these boys of mine are working overtime. And if they got enough money to afford a tractor like that, they're paying rent on everything. I mean, he was it was the end. They were going to ruin him for everything he had. And they turned out okay. But I mean, in his mind, that was just an absolute, there was no need for anything that nice.
It was gluttony.
You're exactly right. That phrase might have been used. I don't know. I was pretty young, but I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
That's like when Chet, when we built the new shop, it's been 10 years ago now. And Chet wanted to have this big toolbox. And I'm like, you don't need to waste whatever it was, $3,500 or $3,000, whatever it was. It's just like, why? Because Randy and I had our little kids' wagon with 2 toolboxes on that. If something broke down, you just grab them, throw them in back pickup. You could fix whatever was wrecked. You don't need to waste money on a big toolbox, but boy,
you went around and around on that.
Yeah, I was not too happy about that.
Yep.
That was not good.
Yep.
Now Storlock brings him all kinds of boxes.
Yeah, now they've got 3, I think, boxes, and not that. Let's just say if I was a mechanic, full-time mechanic, and I would be that guy that would have his toolbox locked all the time, because every time I go over to them, there's tools missing. They're not back where they're supposed to be, and I'm spending more time looking for them.
Yep.
But I could always find it in my little wagon.
Yep. There you go.
Sounds like us.
That is exactly like us.
We always have tools. We always have a project, and we always are like, yep. I think we got it all. And then you get over there and you're like, Nope. Got to go back every
And
time.
the worst is when you need that one thing and you go to where that one thing is and
always
it's not
the one
there.
wrench that's missing. The whole set is there except that one that you need.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then on a farm, you start going down the mental list of where's the next most likely place that is.
Where
First
was
it's
it?
like,
Yeah.
oh, it's probably over here on the bench in the shot. Okay, it's not there. Oh, it's over at the grain bin. Oh, it's over at the hog. Okay, it's here. Oh, I hate that.
I think that's gotten to be a bigger issue, is that it seems like you always got to order parts now. So when you do work on a project, nobody puts nothing away because you aren't done.
Yep.
Well, 3 days later, when you're
When
still
something else
waiting,
breaks.
now that you're right, now you are missing what you need out of the box, but
Yep.
you just kind of walk it off, as I say.
Walk it off.
Yeah.